Have you ever considered that listening might be something that you do with your whole self and not just your ears? Welcome to YSM Conversations, where we are diving into the depths of our beings. I am Danielle YS, and I get to guide women through the darkness of discomfort into their deepest selves so they can bring forth their soul signatures. And I'm here with
Victoria McMahon, and I guide people into the remembrance of that soul signature to live the beautiful, amazing life they came here to be.
over this next couple of episodes, we are going to be diving into what it means to listen with your whole self beyond the ears.
Today, we're inviting you into the conversation of what it means to listen the body. And the body is including your thinking mind aspect that is hanging out between your ears, that brain processor. It's listening the whole body. And so we wanted to flesh out what that actually feels like, what it means to listen from the whole body of who we are, and the nuts and bolts of that. One of the things that Danielle and I have noticed is that when you have practiced for a long time, like we have in listening body, it becomes that original innate way of being that we came into the world this way. So we have to get back into the practice of it if we've set it aside for whatever reasons. And so today is just a few minutes together to say, what are those practical ways in which we know we're listening body as a way to gain access, expand beyond, incorporate more of being who we are. So, Danielle, tell me, like, what's one of the ways that pops into your mind?
Listening through the body is our physical sensations. The stuff that we really physically feel in our body is the biggest doorway into listening to our whole selves and getting that deeper intuition and those intuitive hits. It's also the place where I see so many people and my clients being like, I don't know what you mean. Where do I feel it in my body? And so often it also, body sensations get mixed up with feelings and emotions. And so there's kind of three separate things that we're looking at here, and or three separate categories that exist. Today we're just going to look at body sensations, but there's also emotions, which we've talked about in a previous video, the four core emotions: anger, sadness, joy, fear. And then there's the feelings, and the feelings are the stories that we wrap around emotions. And the emotions are the way that we try to understand our sensations. So it all starts out with the physical sensations, which is why it's so important for us to learn to be able to notice them, get curious about them, and let them play out in our bodies. Because if we can fully sit with the physical sensations of our emotions that come up, the chemicals that flood into our body when we have an emotional response get flushed out of our body in 90 seconds. But the big but with this is that we tend to ruminate on the emotions and we tend to ruminate on the feelings, and those just kick off that cycle again and again and again. But when we can focus just on the physical sensation, am I hot? Is it tight? Is it squiggly? I was going to say squiggly. That's not squelchy, wiggly and squelchy together
I'm turning on
inside the body.
squiggly.
Yeah, exactly. When we can focus on just that physical sensation, there's so much freedom because we're rinsing it out of our body and letting that energy move through us. That to me is the biggest entry point for listening with our body. It's just the physical sensations that arise in our body all the time. Our bodies are talking to us, our nervous systems are talking to us all the time. And it's in the form of physical sensation. A lot of us have forgotten to do that, and also that we can do that, and that it is valuable to do it in a society that really valuable. My speaking today in a society that really valuables the mind. I'm just gonna go with it.
Valuable is the mind,
Exactly.
undervalues the body.
Yes.
So I have a question for you. What is one of your primary ways that you access physical sensation awareness?
Well, that's a big question, especially going back to what you said at the beginning. We've been in this practice for so many years. It has become second nature. So I'm trying to walk myself back into how I access it because right now, the way that I access it is that it happens and I notice it and I'm aware of it immediately. Like there's something in my body that comes up and I'm like, oh, all right, what's there? And I get curious. But it wasn't always that way. I had to come back to the body also. So I'm kind of walking myself a little bit earlier on in that coming back chapter. And I think, yeah, okay. So there's one particular time where I really came back to, oh, my body's trying to tell me something. After I finished college, I was living in San Francisco, working in tech. I went to a networking event, and a woman came up to me and started telling me techniques to doing LinkedIn that are going to get your visibility way up. And I remember a huge dropping sensation in my stomach, like I was on a roller coaster or a free fall. And I noticed it in the moment, and it made me freeze and not really respond to her. I went home later that night and just sat with it, being like, that was weird. Why would I get that sensation when I'm just standing on solid ground having a conversation with somebody? As I sat with that sensation, it started to tell me that a boundary had been crossed, and she had told me something that felt not aligned with the way I wanted to approach my work and my networking. I didn't know consciously in the moment, but my body knew and was signaling to me that something felt uncomfortable. And it was taking a little bit of time afterwards to sit with that for it to untease itself. Now, before I had a lot of practice listening to the body, it required a big sensation like that, stomach dropping, for me to pay attention to it. It's like the little kid who has been asking for X, Y, and Z for 10 minutes, just suddenly being like, no, listen to me. And now, since I've been in this practice for a long time, I hear the whispers and not just the screams.
I really heard you spelling out the spectrum of how we have gotten into the patterning of not paying attention to the body for so long that in order for the body to give us its intelligence, it has to be a scream, like you've said.
Yeah.
And then the more we start to maneuver the listening capacity of the body, the subtle whispers can automatically keep us tuned in, that we get to that capacity where a whisper is enough. We may start from the screaming mimes. I think that's really important, especially depending on where you are in your own spectrum of what body intelligence and body language and body listening is for you. The body may have to signal in the beginning with really strong information in order to get your attention. And that's not a bad thing. It's just recognizing, oh, I'm on this end of the spectrum. I'm somewhere in the middle, and I haven't gained the full access of body intelligence to be able to navigate with whispering. I love that. And
Yeah.
I want to go back and I want to flesh it out a little bit because I think it's important for people to recognize if it's a scream, what is it really in the body that tells you it's a scream? Like you said, I froze and my stomach dropped. Those are obvious words, but can you just tease out a little bit more of the sensations that go along with those descriptor words?
Before I do that, I want to also add a note that for me in that moment, it was a scream.
Mhm.
And on the whole spectrum of what your body can do and how it can speak to you, it was probably, if this is a whisper, it was probably here on the spectrum. Our bodies
Mhm.
can scream so much more than that. That's what happens when we get injured. That's what happens when we get diseases and sicknesses. That's our body talking to us and saying, listen to me. So, on the spectrum, even though it was a scream at that point, there's so much more that our bodies can do, especially when we're out of this practice of listening to them. And so that's also part of why it's so important for us to do that. In terms of the sensations that came up in the body, I can probably go back to it in this moment. Let's see. I remember that I was standing in a brightly lit fluorescent room, just looking at this woman, and there was an aisle of chairs in between us. And she was talking. I already had my notes and folder in front of me, which signals now that there was a little bit of defensiveness or not feeling safe already. And it was just like the stomach just drops. If you've ever ridden a roller coaster or been on any of those free fall activities where it's like, oh, where did my stomach go? It's this flighty feeling, this ungrounded feeling. It's like you're really light in your stomach area, almost like the bottom half of the body just evaporated.
What goes along with that for me is in a physical nature of that lightness of the lower body. I'm just imagining that the upper body, especially with your arms being in that position, was muscle tension coming in to surround the heart. And you could feel this tension in the face, the neck, shoulders, down through the arms. So you're in this kind of muscle tension holding pattern. And the bottom half of you is in this light, I don't feel my legs, they're invisible. So you've got two distinct areas of the body in different body sensation at the same time. And I think it's important to recognize the capacity of the body to give so many different body signals at the same time is really about developing our capacity to listen to all the parts of the physical body that are expressing sensation. It feels like that part of the developing of listening body is to be able to have a sense of what it is to name what sensation is, not just the idea of it, but the actual physical experience of it.
And that's why I give all my clients a body sensations list. Literally a list that has a bunch of body sensations on it. Obviously not comprehensive, but it has a bunch that you can just look at and be like, oh yeah, I'm feeling a little bit shivery or wooden or cold.
I think what's valuable about that is we tend to go a leap forward to label the body sensation as a feeling. We go too quick to label it. So if we take ourselves back into the sensation, say that feeling of the belly dropping, if you were to actually take 90 seconds to really describe and stay present to it, especially in the beginning of this exploration, can seem like forever. The mind doesn't stay present. The body holds it, but our willingness to allow ourselves to feel the sensations and stay in the sensation itself without labeling is a practice.
When you say to stay with the sensation without labeling, it's a labeling of this is good, this is bad, this is right, this is wrong, rather than this is what I'm experiencing. The sensation that I'm experiencing, it's shivery, it's tight, it's jittering, whatever that is. It's about judging that label that you put onto it. And that brings us back to the story that we add onto it. And guess what? Adding a feeling, adding a story to it is our mind trying to control the situation because it's so uncomfortable for us. It's the mind trying to escape the discomfort of that physical sensation. That's why it's so important for us to stay in the physical sensation and just get curious about it. Put on the scientist cap. Stay with the physical sensation. You're going to see the mind going like this. And then you're going to say, oh no, let's come back to the physical sensation. The mind's going to go over here to the story. And then you're going to come back to the physical sensation. And then it's going to be back and forth. This loop is what makes it feel like 90 minutes and not 90 seconds because it's elongating the process.
In that loop, to keep bringing yourself back for that 90-second exploration of the sensation itself. One of the best tools that we came into the world with to do that is our breath. And the breath will give the mind a nudge to relax and will orient us back to the body sensation automatically. It's the nature of the relationship, who we are, breathing the body. We came in automatically breathing the body. It's our innate origin, breathing sensation, breathing sensation. So if you want to experiment, just set the timer for 90 seconds. Feel a sensation that you're sensing in the body. Maybe it's like, I have this little tension in the back of my shoulder blades, and I'm just noticing it right now. And I'm just going to stay in my mind in the back of my shoulder blade, and I'm going to breathe, and I'm going to time what it feels like to feel it, how it feels in there, what the sense of it is, warm, cold, all those adjectives. Just listen that body sensation for 90 seconds and see what the body wants you to know about it. And that's a really great little practice to get you started.
Mm-hmm. And if you want to add in another layer of it, you can invoke sensations that arise with emotions by coming back to some kind of emotional experience that happened in the past day or week, and then feel and go into the physical sensation of that emotion and stay with the physical sensation for 90 seconds.
It's another entry point.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And I don't know about you, but every day in my life, I get opportunities for these entry points, whether it's a conversation, a meditation that brings it up in the silence and says, I want to be heard, or a thought that keeps ruminating. They're all access points. And then we get to practice this way of listening. And then you get better at allowing yourself to listen the body and have that inform what that means to listen you as a whole being. Anything else that rises from body listening for you?
We talked through the differences between body sensations, emotions, and feelings, and why the physical sensations are the core entry point to listening. We had an example of the screams of our bodies versus the whispers. We've also looked at different entry points into the body, whether it's a physical sensation that already exists or a physical sensation that arises with an emotion.
The one thing that I'll close my thinking about it is, for me, doing a joyful body sensation experience can be more challenging than a fear, anger, sadness. So I'd be curious if you want to comment when you do one, what it's like for you. And if you try out joy, let me know if that one's easier for you. And then you can show me how to get the ease of joy.
I love that. Beautiful invitation. This is a lifelong practice. There are whispers all the time for us to be paying attention to. And they show us so much more information than we can gather with just our ears alone. And that's why listening beyond the ears is so important.
Whispers and screams, the whole spectrum, just invite it all. It's like Rumi's guest house. They're all part of giving yourself a place to be a full being.
We hope that you will go and try these practices and maybe listen to those screams. Let us know how it goes. We are excited to hear. Thanks for joining us.